Hello, today Johnson Matthey announced full year results for the year ending 31st March 2016, and I'm here with Robert MacLeod, Chief Executive of Johnson Matthey, to talk about the group's performance. Robert, before we talk about results, I think it'd be fair to say that the group has evolved somewhat in recent years, and I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about what Johnson Matthey looks like today and some of the rationale behind those changes.
Well, Sally, today Johnson Matthey is, I would say, a leader in sustainable technologies. And fundamentally what we do is use our chemistry skills. We've got a lot of people with deep knowledge about chemistry, PhDs and chemical engineers, etc., and use the chemistry knowledge and their applications knowledge to develop products and create value for our customers. And the vast majority of those products have a sustainable technology advantage. And that's changed over the years. We used to be very much PGM, platinum group metal dominated, but now we're evolving. PGMs are still very important to us, but we're now moving into other areas too.
And so those clever chemistries, those sustainable technologies, creating values for customers, how has that translated into the group's performance this year, financially, operationally and strategically?
Well, 2015-16, it hasn't been an easy year for us, like many companies out there. We've had several headwinds that have come and knocked us a bit this year. Low oil prices, platinum group metal prices have been low, and also, relatively speaking, a slowdown in China. But despite that, I think we've made very good progress. Our results are pretty much in line with last year, partly impacted because we sold a couple of businesses which didn't really fit the strategy I was talking about. But we have made progress in developing the strategy moving forward, and I'm pleased with the results we announced today.
And those results, you talked about an impact from headwinds. How have you coped with those headwinds? How has the group and management responded to those?
Yes, well, it's difficult times, of course, and you have to respond. And unfortunately, this year we had to let a few people go across the group, a few hundred, I'm afraid. And as a result, we've also had to take some significant write-offs this year too, because some of our assets are underutilised because of that changing environment. So we have taken action to reduce costs, to right-size the business for the future. But at the same time, all the way through last year, we have continued to invest. We've invested over 5.5% on R&D. We've invested more than £250 million on capital and new plants and new facilities, and done some more bolt-on M&A, as well as the disposals we've done too. So again, as I say, constant evolution of the company, but continue to invest for that long term.
And investment, I think, as you say, is very important. And one of the areas where that investment has been paying off is in emission control technologies. And of course, this year we've seen there's been a lot in the news around emissions from diesel vehicles and things like that. How do you see that playing out going forward, both in terms of opportunities for diesel and then also new legislation, real-world driving emissions, and legislation in areas such as China and India?
You're absolutely right, Sally. It's been an eventful year for the automotive industry and for us too. Diesel, as you know, is a very important part of Johnson Matthey's business because it takes quite a lot more complexity to clean up the emissions out of a diesel vehicle than a gasoline vehicle. And what the news has brought about is the importance of improving air quality. And that's where Johnson Matthey can help. Our products are the solution, and we have products that can meet the legislation and the tighter legislation that's coming in Europe through real-world driving, as you say, and tighter legislation into the future, such that the ambition of the regulators, and we believe this is entirely possible, to have the emissions out of a diesel car being the same as the emissions out of a gasoline car. So I think there's more complexity coming and more tighter legislation, and that's good for Johnson Matthey. In China, you're absolutely right. In the emerging markets, that's where future legislative growth is coming to. It's probably not for this year or next year, but certainly in a few years to come, you'll see tighter and tighter legislation coming in China and India, and that's a good opportunity for us. And we're very, very well positioned, not just in Europe, but across the whole world through our emission control technology business, which had, by the way, a really good year last year.
And thinking about next year and into the future, to sum up, could you tell us how you see the outlook for Johnson Matthey, both for 16-17 and in the medium to longer term?
So we announced today the outlook for this year, which we expect to be ahead of the year that we just finished. I think the headwinds that we've had, hopefully, are now maybe not tailwinds anymore yet, but they're certainly we're now consistent, and those are in our numbers. We'll benefit because of the reduction in cost that we took and the action that we took last year. So I think we'll see some progress this year across the group. Longer term, and in the medium term, that's where the investment comes in. The continued investment in R&D, the continued investment in new plants and new facilities will allow us to grow the business into the future. And we certainly would expect, after a year of relatively flat, some growth, but not huge growth this year, we then should return to growth in the years into the future. So I think we're pretty well positioned, and the structural drivers are still there.
Robert, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sally.